Hello and welcome to episode 2 of How Can We Make Dreams Better. In this episode, I want to go over some small quality of life improvements, things that in the past week of early access have jumped out to me, or is something little that kinda bugs me. Now these aren't going to be massive things like an overhaul of how something works or anything. That might be something for another video once I've spent more time with the game. These will be little things that I think Mediamolecule could, and in some cases I think already have plans to do. So let's start with number 10. Other templates for puppets. The puppets in Dreams are great, no doubt about that. But what if you want a dog or a bird? Now there are clever people out there that have turned the puppet into a dog or a cat and have given away the template. However, the template still doesn't quite feel right. This might be me wishful thinking, but I would love for Mediamolecule themselves to give us a number of different puppets in animal shapes or other things. At 9, it's setting up where the menu pops up in create mode. Now I have only spent a few hours delving into logic, but the one thing that I had most trouble with was keeping the menus organised. I found with the move controls that some menus would open up to the left of the screen, so it became a bit awkward to reach over and pull it to the right side. I know you can move the menu and save the location for next time, but it's the little things that we're talking about today. So if I'm moving the move controls and they are right-handed, could they by default not be to the right side maybe? Number 8 is rotating and resizing logic in microchips. Sticking with logic now, and this is something I used to do a lot in Little Big Planet, and that's turning the logic and keeping it nice and tidy within the microchip. Now this may be some old habits that I could stop wanting to do. I still find myself placing a block down, so I have something to place a logic on. Thanks, Little Big Planet. But seriously, could we have a little more freedom when it comes to placing logic in microchips? After all, some games' logic can get crazy complicated, and if you're not well organised, it can become troublesome. 7 is setting defaults or saving last used in create. I've heard a number of people bring this up in forums and Discord, and that's being able to set what you want as default when you start sculpting or painting and so on. For me, as I spend most of my time sculpting, I would love to set it to a white sculpt with minimal looseness and in stamp mode. For the simple reason I like to knock out a rough sculpt with little detail before I change the colour or start painting. One way I could see Mediamolecule implementing this is to add a Remember This button within the sculpt menu. So when I start, I set what I want, hit the button, and when I back out of the sculpt and start a new one, it remembers what I saved. This may only save me a few seconds, but given the amount of time that I want to sculpt, it's a long time in the long run. Number 6 is cutting with a sculpt. Something I used in Little Big Planet now, but can't, or at least don't know how to do in Dreams, is to make a shape, so to sculpt it using a number of shapes, then use that to cut into another sculpt. The way I thought it would work was to, let's say, make a wall. Now I want to cut a human shape into said wall, so I go into sculpt mode, make a human shape. I then exit sculpt mode, pick up the shape, zoom into the wall, and with my move controls I tapped my left move control to the bottom of the right move control and enter cut mode. Sadly this doesn't work, at least right now, but is something I think would benefit many creators. At 5 is adding a filter to notifications. If there is one thing I love more than sculpting in Dreams, it's seeing that message that someone has used one of my creations in a game or a scene. However, it's easy for those little messages to get lost in a wave of likes, comments and whatnot. This is something I don't have too much trouble with, but I can only imagine what someone like Disarmed or Cody Bear has to scroll through. This is only after a week of early access. What will this be like after a year? when some people have made over 100 assets for people to use, a couple of dozen levels or games for people to like and comment on. This is most probably on the list of things Mediamolecule are looking to implement, but as it isn't here yet, I wanted to point it out. 4 is scrolling on long reviews and comments. A minor one now, but as someone who is a bit of a slow reader, when I have had large comments posted to me, I see that it scrolls automatically and I can't seem to control the speed or scroll itself. This may be a bug, but it's still a little annoying. If I could click on the comment or review and have it expand or even full screen, that would be fantastic. I can also imagine it would be very helpful for players with impaired vision too, as some text can be a bit on the small side. Number 3 now is keeping the tutorial videos in the corner. The tutorials are great. They go at a good pace and are clearly worded so it's easy to follow. However, I often found myself frustrated that the video playing would get in the way. Now I like having the video there, it's just so far from the corner, and if you hover your imp over it slightly, it enlarges and takes up more of the screen. Could we not have a save location on the videos, much like the menus in Create? Or at least have them tucked right into the corner, giving us more space to play with. 2 is to organise my creations. Now I like to make rough templates of ideas, and when it comes to making the final level or game, I start fresh and take what I learned and build with that knowledge. What would be nice is if you can create a folder so that one project is contained within and all creations involved are neat and tidy inside. Creating folders for ideas, characters, scenes and music without having to scroll through all our junk would be very nice. You can form collections, but even if you add this to a collection, they remain in the list, so scrolling is just as long if not one longer. This is something bothering me now, so after a few months I can't begin to imagine the mess it'll be. The number one thing I feel they need to update before the full release is the dream surfing filters. This is possibly the one thing I hear made fun of most, and something I'm sure is in the works over at Mediamolecule. However, I need to stress how limiting dream surfing is and how much it could be improved. For starters, could there be a little logo to show levels that we have already played? What about stuff friends are playing, or just seeing what my friends have made? I also saw that when dream surfing, it will randomly pick levels for you to play, and how it would still pick levels you have already played. This would be something that I would change by default, giving players something new every time. At the time of this recording, Dreams is on update 1.01, so forgive me if any of these have been added. But there are a few things I feel need to be addressed before the full release. Don't forget that as the game is in early access, it is our job to let Mediamolecule know what we think and feel about the game so they can improve it. So if you have any little things that bug you about the game, leave a comment down below or send me a tweet at GentlemanTom. I will also have links to other forums and social media accounts for you to be vocal on. For now though, thank you very much for watching, take care, and happy dreaming.